Let's pray. Almighty God, we come before you this evening to call on you to bless this council and all who are engaged in the work of running our city. Grant that we all may order all things in wisdom, righteousness, and peace, to the honor of your name and the good of your people who dwell in our city. Amen. Amen. Good afternoon, councillors. Good afternoon, town clerk, management, members of the Fourth Estate. I'm sure that, like many of us, we all read the newspapers. And I wonder whether you read the Chronicle today, because the Chronicle had a very interesting cartoon today. If you didn't see it, it is here. Okay. It says, pay rates from council. And the residents respond, service delivery, the ratepayers. And there's a tug of war. It's a very good cartoon, and it's very apt to our work. The President Mnangagwa, and the Minister of Local Government have repeatedly called for town councils to engage in service delivery. And at the end of this year, we need to reflect on our service delivery. We are all together almost halfway through our terms of office. All of us have almost served 2.5 years. And so it is the midterm mark shown today by the photographs that we had taken prior to this meeting, which are a demonstration and a reminder to us of the midterm mark. And we need to honestly, as councillors primarily, reflect on what service we have delivered to ratepayers in the last 2.5 years. It starts with me. It flows down with the Deputy Mayor, but it affects each one of us as councillors, right across the city and in all our respective wards. And I have to say personally that as I reflect on the last 2.5 years, I feel personally that very little has been achieved, if we are brutally frank with ourselves. When I look back at some of the goals that we started out with, I see many goals that have not been achieved. It starts with big issues. Delivery of water. Have we really improved on the delivery of water to residents? Have we really made progress, for example, in the upgrading of Nema pump station, in the provision of solar power to pump Nema? Have we made progress on Glass Block Dam? I have to say, Town Clerk, I'm deeply frustrated. This time last year, the Town Clerk and Engineer Ngube and I attended the Africa Investment Forum in Morocco. We effectively secured 93 million of foreign money to build a dam. Here we sit in December, the entire project bogged down in red tape. And lest we accuse government or other people of our failure in that regard, let us reflect on some of the debates that we have had in this chamber which have frustrated that process. Those are the big ticket items, but we know on sewerage We see it as councillors, day in, day out, don't we? Residents with blocked sewage, raw sewage in their homes. We're still putting raw sewage into the Umguza River. And it applies to other things. A year ago, the University of Toronto wrote to us and offered to provide us with cutting-edge technology to use satellite technology to identify the size of houses so that they could be used for valuation purposes. A year on, we have not progressed that, and it's a free offer. It doesn't involve us in any money. And I could spend literally probably half an hour going through other things that we have not delivered on. And it even goes down to small, relatively trivial things. In January this year, I asked that the fountain in front of the City Hall be repaired in time for trade fairs so that when we have ambassadors and ministers and possibly the president one day, that the full glory of this building might be reflected. We got private people in to advise. They said it would cost $1,600. It still has not been done. A tiny thing like that. The old mayoral gown, which is pretty much moth-eaten and needs to be replaced by something more culturally appropriate. Nothing has happened. So what I'm saying is, from the big issue, the big ticket issues, to the small issues, we simply are not delivering. And we need to reflect soberly on that. Now, some may say that the reason for that is because we're financially constrained. And yes, that applies to roads and perhaps NEMA upgrade and the like. But many of these issues do not involve our money. Glass Block Dam doesn't involve our money. The money is there from the international community. And yet we haven't delivered. And councillors, I say to each one of us and to myself, we are subject ourselves to evaluation. It doesn't matter what we say about what we're delivering. Residents know whether we are delivering or not. And that's what this cartoon is all about. Residents know whether they're getting water. Residents know whether they've got raw sewage in their houses. Residents know whether their roads are being repaired. Residents know how quickly we are responding to their legitimate complaints. And they ultimately are the ones to judge us. Each one of us. None of us are exempt from that. And I start with myself. So my talk to you this afternoon is not to berate. It may sound like that. It's just an encouragement that we need to be sober. We need to reflect on what we have actually delivered. Next week, we are going to Zishavani, and we're planning the next 5 years. And I hope that that week doesn't come out with airy-fairy objectives. We need concrete objectives. Within the next 5 years, we need Glass Block built. We need NEMA completely upgraded with its own solar to pump water so that we are not reliant on ZESA. And the same at Nchabez. We need all of our 8 sewage plants rehabilitated within the next 5 years. And the list goes on. Concrete goals that we can strive towards and that residents can judge us by. That is service delivery. Doesn't matter what we say it is. That is service delivery. So my urge to you as we reach the end of this year, let us recommit ourselves, each one of us, irrespective of what has happened, irrespective of our backgrounds, irrespective of what political party we represent. We now need to work constructively together, all of us, town clerk, management, councillors, to deliver to residents. Otherwise, we will all be judged severely. Thank you. Please start the meeting.
Thank you, Worship. Dear councillors of the city of Bulawayo, in management, esteemed stakeholders, ladies and gentlemen of the meeting. The legal question being confirmation of minutes of the ordinary meeting held on the 5th of November 2025 attached as Annex A, pages A to T. Thank you, Worship.
Thank you, Town Clerk. Item 1, can we approve the minutes?
Sign, Worship.
Thank you. Would the Chair of Future Water please move her report? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Worship. I move that the report of the Future Water Supplies and Water Action Committee meeting held on the 4th of November 2025 is submitted, be received, and various recommendations contained be adopted.
Thank you, ma'am. A seconder? Thank you. Any debate? What item, Councillor? 5. Excuse me, ma'am.
Thank you, Worship. I want to appreciate your correct account of the situation that we are faced with, because I think the biggest interest for our residents today, in fact, the whole of this year, is the delivery of water, and it is inevitable that we speak to a situation that is really grave for the city, and offer and give pointers of where we want to go. This last week, we went to Zambia on a benchmarking visit. I want to speak to long-term alternatives and on augmentation alternatives for future supply of water. We were on a benchmarking visit to Lusaka, and I want to say that my take was that what we learned there is a success story in Zambia, because in Zambia, not only have they formed a water utility, they've actually come up with 11 water utilities across the whole country. They are named according to the name of the province. They are what they call the NOASCO, which is the Water Regulatory Authority, equivalent to your Zino. And they are doing very well. They had teething problems, yes. When they began, their teething problems, and it was not smooth sailing from the accounts that they gave us. They are now supplying water in the urban areas and also in the peri-urban and the rural areas. And their situation is a lot better than ours, because they've got these commercial units which are running to provide the service. Not profit making, but just to break even and ensure that they deliver the service. Yes, they had issues to do with the tariff setting. They did point out that the issues with tariff setting are a problem. They have got issues with the government having to give them the green light. And sometimes they are not performing at their best because of tariff setting. I believe that it's high time for City of Bulawayo to come up with our own water utility, because I believe that we have had our own expeditions to learn. We have been exposed to so many people, so many experts who are involved in these commercial utilities. We have been exposed to so many trainings and consultants. I believe that it is high time, just like you said, Your Worship, we need to deliver. The residents of Bulawayo don't expect us to be bogged down with the same issues. We need to get over this paralysis of inaction so that we are seen to be doing something. Because if we continue to cry about water issues, but at the same time, even if we have people who are skeptical about how it is going to work for us, but let's have it put in place so that we can then look at the weaknesses and the failures, if there are any, that the Zambians went through. I'm sure the Department of Water and Sanitation had a report. I had my own report. Every councillor was there, had their own take. They had their own take on how the 11 utilities are doing. I believe that we need to get over this situation of stagnation and complaining about water delivery and so on forever. So I believe that we need to move forward. Thank you. Thank you, Worship.
Same item 5. Your Worship, thank you for the accurate capture. But I must say, one of the scholars, Patrick Lencioni, speaks about leadership dysfunction and FAPU, where he elucidates about the cohesion or the lack of it in any institution for receiving desired outcomes. There is evidently a big lacuna between the local authority, the government, and the Zino. And personally, I feel that this is where, for example, glass block is failing. It could be deliberate, it could be the feeling of antagonism by other players, by some players. But the evident fact is that there is no cohesion and we are not going to go forward as long as this cohesion, this lack of cohesion exists. My humble submission is that maybe we need to introspect, yes, and say, what role have I played in the success or failure of glass block? Starting from ourselves as the local authority. And then go out and say, how have we engaged? Looking at the external factors now. How have we engaged as a city, the important stakeholders? And who are those important stakeholders? Obviously, Zinwa being part of the most important stakeholders. Government, the fourth state as well, being other important stakeholders. But I think what is critical, Your Worship, the town clerk, the deputy mayor, the councillors, is, are we aware of the Bulawayo we want? Are we asking ourselves these critical questions? What is the Bulawayo we want? How do we arrive at the Bulawayo we want? And the Bulawayo we want is an efficiently run Bulawayo that provides water 24/7, that provides, that clears, attends to sewage best, timely, in line with the international standards. Maybe, Your Worship, apart from just talking, let's try and create that platform across political divide, social, civil service organizations, ourselves as the local authority, government, fourth state, guys, councillors from ZANU-PF, ourselves as triple Cs. Forget all this jacket that we are putting on and then say, how do we arrive in the Bulawayo we want? I must promise you, Your Worship, that the day we decide to do that is the day we are going to realize a step in the right direction. Going forward, we know glass block is not the only panacea to water. We need more than 5 dams. In my ward alone, we have created Nhlangeni Phase 2, we have created the Hoplin, we have created Hopeville, we have Woodville North. We have many suburbs which on their own needs a dam. But we have not built any dams, be it ourselves or post the statutory instrument that says government now provides water sources and stuff. So it needs everyone to put their hands on the deck and their shoulders on the wheel to say, what is it that we want for Bulawayo? We need also the much touted former Matebele and Zambezi water project. I don't know what it's called now, but it's got a name. We also need it. We are aware also that because of the gradient pushing towards Bulawayo, it is likely also to push the water prices up, but government will intervene with subsidies. We need all sources of water, even 5 or 10 more dams, because remember, we are building even for the future, generations beyond our lifetime. Glass block alone was proposed in 1990 something, 80 something. If it had been done that time, the cost would have been pretty much less. But procrastinating has gotten us to this point. So my prayer is that let's not procrastinate. I wanted to ask you, Your Worship, that get hold of the resident minister, get hold of the local government minister, Garwe, get hold of the stakeholders with Zina, sit down. Let's sit down as everyone and chart a way forward on the Bulawayo we want. Not only on water, but on all service delivery. If we're not careful, Bulawayo is going to collapse on everything, because the infrastructure we're dealing with is dilapidated, completely finished. But again, talking to Vey, being in Zambia with the same team, there are a lot of positives about Vey. One of the highlights of the positives that I saw on a utility is the ability to attract funding. All the information we got, we were advised and we read, we saw statistics on how after privatization we attract funding. But we need to speak to a model, of course, that serves the people of Bulawayo better and best. But above all else, we need water. We need an improved service. And I pray that we involve ourselves in change management, we involve ourselves in serious transformation that is going to speak to the ideals that we want. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. No further debate? Can we move the report? Do you want to reply, ma'am? No. We move the report. Chair of Health, Housing and Education. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that the report of the Health, Housing and Education Committee meeting held on the 11th of November 2025 as submitted be received and the various recommendations contained therein be adopted.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? No seconder? Thank you, ma'am. Any debate? What item, ma'am? 8. Anything anyone before 8? You have the floor.
Thank you, Your Worship. Your Worship, of late, as councillors, we've been having campaigns partnering with organizations on drug abuse. So part of what the organizations were asking from us is if we as councillors can provide rehab facilities for the drug addicts so that they can be treated at a reasonable amount. Because it seems them getting into these private rehabs is becoming expensive, and the parents they feel like they are losing their kids on a daily basis. So they were of an opinion of if as City Council we can release some of our, I don't know, buildings, or maybe if we can get places for them for rehab at a lower cost, then they will be grateful. Thank you.
I'd like to thank this committee and also special mention to our director together with council for facilitating that the expansion of the community. All along we just been offering clinic for children who are under the age of 5 but now yes, expansion other services now incorporated together with our partners AIDS and Care Foundation. This is a very recommended development, which I mentioned to County. We've seen fit after several engagements to make sure that the team is expanded. We appreciate the residents of the community. Also, special mention to the other.
Any further debate? Do you want to reply, sir?
Thank you, Your Worship. I want to thank Councillor Moyo M for that positive feedback. We are doing our best as a committee in conjunction with the Department of Health Services to provide healthcare to everyone within Bulawayo. We have taken note of the request from these organizations that wish to partner the city in fighting substance abuse. I concur that substance abuse is a silent assassin in our communities. If we do not nip it in the bud, we are going to lose a whole generation. We remain open to such conversations to explore those kind of partnerships. The most important thing is for those interested organizations to come through, and we'll have a sit down and hammer out the hows and ifs of working together. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. Can we move the report? Thank you. Chair of Environmental Management, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that the report of the environmental management the committee, meeting held on the 13th of November, is submitted, be reviewed, and various recommendations be adopted.
I believe you mean the 17th of November, is it?
Yes.
Didn't you say 13th? Perhaps my hearing is defective. Any seconder for that? Thank you, sir. Any debate? Let's have some gender.
Yes.
What, item 3, sir? Okay, you have the floor, ma'am.
Lo chairman of committee angiphakamela ukuphikisa into kodwa ke ngiphakamele isibongo engibelazo kuwathela particularly eNtumba. Bathi kimi ngithi izandla zidlula ekhanda ngomsebenzi omkhulu eliwenzileyo kade sekuleminyaka amanzi ezihambela ngentando yawo ukuthi sikwela phansi. Bekunzima ukuthi uchasisele abantu ukuba balamanzi kodwa amanzi izi enkompoza kodwa bathe bayabonga ukuthi kuyenelisile ukuthi le inani revenue ukuthi ekhuluma ngayo seyiyavula. Esifiswa ukuthi ngale ngakwenza wonke amalokitshi. Isibongo kuphela yoshi esivele ebantwini beNtumbane kodwa bathe ngiphinde ngicele ngenkundla yakho ukuthi igodini amagodi lawani sokuyisikhathi sezulu yes kasingazitholi ngelilanga sisiyakhipha umphefumulo siyaphelela lapha amanzi zethu igodi lingafakwa cela lizovala amagodi isikhathi lesithathu siyabonga.
What item, sir? Item 8.
Mine is 19.
19. 15. Any other bids before 15, ma'am? So 17, but you 15, Councillor Moy. You have the floor.
Okay, thank you, Worship. Item 15 under the Eating Roads branch. I would like to thank the committee for a job well done on the drums that initially caused controversy in Aipa and Robert Mugabe and 8th Avenue. I'm a finance person and I always say numbers don't lie. The initiative, which was driven by the town clerk and the director of roads, have saved lives for the citizens of Bulawayo and those that are visiting the city. there is a police statistics that there is a reduction of 97% in road accidents on those areas that used to have serious accidents. The reduction was 97%, meaning that we saved a lot of lives by that initiative, and also we saved on the damage of the cars, meaning that we saved on the savings of our citizens of Bulawayo. Initially, people didn't understand the initiative that was done by Town Clerk, but now that the statistics are coming out, it shows that he's a visionary person, and maybe hence the extension of his contract. Because if you see 97% reduction, just moving something with 1% is very difficult. But now the statistics are there for everyone are there with the police department that we actually reduced the accidents by 97%. Thank you so much for the initiative. Thank you, department.
Kami Road, especially West Community laphana sesihlala sibona abamakhombi lezimoto ezincane ziyehluleka ukuhamba, umgwaqo kawusahambeki. Sicela lisikhangelele khona lapho kusukusela nje khona phana West Community usiyafika kokhonoli laphana umgwaqo sumubi kakhulu. Sicela lisikhangelele khona lapho imota ziphuma amaviri insuku zonke. Wesi lama robot akhona kawasebenzi. Thank
you, Roshi. Mine is directed to the chair of the committee.
You're 19, are you?
Item 19.
Thank you.
Without spending a lot of time, I just want clarity from the chair. It seems to me there's a lot of back and forth regarding that issue. So maybe the chair can assist us with clarity on what is the actual position and when we are going to meet these stakeholders. Because I saw also that it's written there is no illegality about us meeting the stakeholders. So maybe the chair can assist with clarity. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further debate before we get the chair to respond? No? Chair, please respond.
Thank you, Worship. Please allow me to give two members of my committee chance to say a few things before I go to the other.
Okay.
Start with Councillor Alexindo.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman. There is a lot of concern about the flooding that is happening nowadays. We have spoken to the issue of people having to open up their weepoles. Because what happens if they don't open up their weepoles, that water becomes stagnant. Then there is the issue of mosquitoes, nuisance mosquitoes. They are pests also like the rodents, besides the damage that is done by the water on properties. So this is just to encourage councillors to speak to their residents that, look, let's do a lot of advocacy about people who are dumping a lot of, dumps on the canals so that they choke the culverts. Water must flow away, surface flow must flow away. So this is just to emphasize this point. But otherwise, I appreciate the opinion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. I think briefly, the Councillor about the issue of importance. I think it's something that is urgent in as far as our committee is concerned, because we know that it's rainy season. Therefore, we are expecting such things to happen. It's something that we are working on as a committee. Is within our plans. But you know that we also suffer from the deficiency of resources, but we try to ensure that we find local solutions to those problems so that we fix the potholes, not only in the CPD but in each and every one. And to Councillor Mbume, thank you so much for the remarks. I just wanted to emphasize that it takes a community for us to
to ensure that we deliver services to our people. It doesn't lie to an individual, but we accept those remarks and we take credit as a committee. And what was raised by Councillor, and I think our committee submitted clear resolutions on what has to happen in terms of meeting the stakeholder mentioned in item 19, which is something that is a norm and a tradition when we are playing our oversight role as a council to ensure that we understand what is happening in and out in terms of this council business. So the direction was set. If you look at the recommendations, the direction was set so that the councillors they get to understand on what is happening, especially to the project of airport, because it has caused a lot of noise to the residents. It is something that we as the committee take a responsibility to ensure that every councillor has sufficient information to share with the residents on what is happening. But trusting to the wisdom of our management and the guidance, we ensure you and we promise you that maybe we won't meet in the next full council before meeting these people, so that you have they know on what has failed or what is happening. And we apologize for the confusion that we caused as a committee. I know the last report of last council was speaking to other things, and this report is now speaking to other things. It was through the deliberations which were made by the management with the client, with the stakeholder, which yielded positive results according to the report. So we are looking to us to monitor the situation and ensure that we bring confidence not only to the residents but to every person that wants to invest go. So I think with that, maybe Chairperson, if you take over. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chair.
My learned colleague is just.
He's learned now, is he?
Yeah, just one for now let's move. On this point, Your Worship.
You have the floor, sir.
As you may know, Your Worship, when we sworn in as this current councillor, we found that that continued project had halted, Your Worship, and we had to move in, Your Worship. And we invited the foreign investor and both the domestic investor to come and explain to this august house what were the hiccups to that project. So going forward, Your Worship, we wish also to invite them back again, Your Worship, so that they may tell this august house what is wrong about what is stopping that project from coming to full fruition, Your Worship. Thank you, Your Worship.
Can we move the report? Thank you. Would the Chair of Townlands please? Are we now speaking Afrikaans?
Yes. I move that the report of the Townlands and Planning Committee meeting held on the 18th of November, as submitted, be received, and the various recommendations contained therein be adopted. Thank you.
Do we have a seconder? Thank you. Any debate? Move. No debate? No. Would the Chair of Finance please move his report?
Okay, thank you, Worship. I move that the report of the Finance and Development Committee meeting held on the 27th of November 2025 as submitted be received and the various recommendations contained therein be adopted. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, ma'am. Any debate? What item, ma'am?
I don't see the item, but 3% retention fund.
Sorry?
3% water retention fund.
Oh, the water retention fund.
Yes.
It's there in confidential.
I think it's in the confidential report.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
will you reserve your comments?
With item 5, I wanted to speak about the IIT section. Also, I decided to just piggyback on item 5. Thank you, Worship. I just wanted to rise at the risk of spoiling the surprise because I'm a bearer of good news or good tidings. We have been working quietly behind the scenes in response to concerns that have been coming from policymakers because most policymakers wanted transparency in terms of the ability to follow up on concerns that will have been reported to the call center, whether by residents or through policymakers themselves, because it seems there was no system of making a follow-up or to be able to see any kind of progress that is taking place. Now, with the indulgence of the town clerk and Director Mpunzi, with a conversation around that, and we started to work on something which we hope will bring some relief in that regard and less of the frustration. Policymakers and management, I am pleased because this effort that we were conducting behind the scenes has yielded a dashboard, Your Worship, which will be updated in real time. And it will have all the information that we need, whether it's by reference number and the kind of faults reported. All the details will be on that dashboard, and even up to a point of giving you a chronology or timeline per reference number, which will show you when it was received, when material was ordered, and all those details. So I think this is a very progressive step that has been taken. It shows that maybe we should allow ourselves to dream of a day when that IT section becomes an entire department, because the sky is the limit, Your Worship, in terms of innovations that can assist us in the discharging of our duties. So I am sure that they are preparing a specific day when this will be unveiled to all of us, and we'll all be able to access it. I am speaking, of course, from having been in the kitchen while the cooking is taking place. So I've already sampled the dish, and I know that Councillor Masango and Councillor Merimo will agree with me because we were together on this effort. So we have this dashboard. They are going to unveil it at a time most convenient to them. But I thought I should rise and thank the town clerk, Mr. Tube, and Director Mpunzi. They've really done well in responding to a concern which kept on coming up. Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Your Worship.
Very good. Any further debate? Sorry?
Mine is not a debate, but a contribution. I'm a member of the committee. It's just that when the committee said when Darren were not around, but it's a contribution. I received messages from residents asking us to maybe improve our revenue collection points around month end, because most of them are failing to pay around that time because of congestion. That's what I wanted to say.
Thank you.
No,
Any
move the
further
report.
debate? Chair, do you want to respond?
Thank you.
Report is moved. Right, we have agenda item 8. I move the report of the General Purposes Committee meeting held on the 1st of December 2025. Do I have a seconder?
Seconded.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Is there any debate? Councillor Moyo? What item? Sorry? Item 31. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much, Mayor, for the opportunity. I think it is good enough for us as this council to reflect on our success stories and the failures But what is of paramount importance is we also need to interrogate where we are failing so that we improve next year. You gave clear remarks, Your Worship, when you opened this council, that this council has recorded more failures and less width, which is true. But also we need to then agree to say that I think we have been the best in terms of coming up with solutions, ideas, or making policies that we think they respond better to the lived realities of the people that we are serving. And we also need to agree and be honest that in terms of implementation, we have been lacking, or we are very bad at that one. As an executive committee of this council, the general purpose, it is of my view and belief that it still lies within your duty to ensure that you evaluate, but not only evaluate, profile solutions, especially to our team that is supposed to implement resolutions. It's so disappointing when people hear us talking every month, trying to profile solutions that we think they are the best in terms of addressing the problems. But when it comes to implementation, we spend years and years, we don't know what's happening and where the problem is. And for us to come here and to say that this council or these councillors have not done justice to the people of Bulawayo, it's unfair. Because the records are there when these councillors were providing solutions on what has to happen in Bulawayo, but no implementation. So if we don't reflect on that fact for the next coming years, we are going to continue being people who are subjected to a talk show here every month without implementation. So I want to charge your committee, Your Worship, to be serious on that area, to ensure that as managers of this council, if the employees are not functioning very well, the management has to make a decision, or rather produce a clear report on where we are failing to implement simple resolutions that are supposed to address challenges that are being faced by people of Bulawayo. It's very much unfair, Your Worship, that you are 3 years old now as the mayor, but you have not yet even cutted one report of officiating any single building here in Bulawayo, because there's no development. It's so worrisome. There are so many resolutions which have been done at committee level. At each level, we do decisions. We make decisions at finance, every committee. This council has been the best. Even the rest is no. But there's no implementation. At the end of the day, we receive also that pay. But with people that we employ and pay good pays. So I charge your office, Your Worship, that when you come next year, let's talk less, let's implement. And we are here to support each other, because they cannot work without us and we cannot work without them. So it takes a team. But as a collective, we don't also need to relax, because I don't know, we don't want to say much, but I think I've been clear to say your committee has an overall duty to ensure that you evaluate and also make critical decisions that will energize or motivate our staff to work and deliver to the people of Bulawayo, so that we don't repeat this talk show next year, but we'll be here to celebrate the victories that we'll be recording as a country. Thanks, sir.
The Deputy, anyone else want to contribute to any other item? No, the Deputy Mayor wants to.
Thank you so much, Your Worship. The reason why these reports are brought to the full council is that we interrogate them and we input so that we improve on service delivery, as we alluded to, Your Worship, during your opening remarks. Thank you, Councillor Meli Moyo, for those comments. But as a committee, we'll appreciate more if you don't generalize, speak to item by item or speak to issues, so that we try to correct. You generalized and we don't know exactly where we should push the management to act, because your comment was just general. And also finally, Your Worship, yes, you alluded to, we are the managers, we are the employers, and we supervise the managers on a daily basis. We should not then wait for the full council to then say, you guys are not implementing ABCD. we should call them to order during our normal meetings and tell them exactly what we think should be done. So we appreciate the comments, but let there be specific issues to say, look, as a council we resolved that ABCD should be done in this way. It has not yet been done. So that we will push the management through the accounting officer, the town clerk, for them to implement. But nevertheless, thank you for your comment. We shall on our own, Councillor Melimoyo, check and see the specifics which were not implemented. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Moyo, just my closing remarks. I draw on ancient wisdom. The ancient wisdom, a house divided against itself will fall. It applies to families, it applies to businesses, it applies to this council, it applies to government, it applies to nations. And I think, whilst your remarks are absolutely correct, and I will reflect on them personally, we all need to have some time of introspection to see what role that we have played, whether it's negative or positive. What I'm calling for us all in this time at the end of the year and with the festive season and the joy that that brings is let's resolve afresh to work as one unit to deliver for residents. That is the only way we are going to deliver for our residents. But with those remarks, may we move this report? Thank you. Are there any leaves of absence, notice of leave of absence? No, we're all here. Meeting is closed. Thank you.